Thanks, David. And October is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And today we're going to talk about a subject that is very specific to domestic violence, and it's hardly ever discussed. We're talking about teen dating violence, and it's a growing problem. And the Coral Gables Police Department has just gotten a grant that will help fight this type of abuse. And here to talk to us about it today is Katia Castellanos. She is the Crime Victims Specialist for the Coral Gables Police Department. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me here
So
today.
tell me about, first off, about that new law that took effect.
Well, it's new legislation that it's going to do is give new duties to law enforcement as far as enforcing the rights of a victim of dating violence, just as a regular victim of domestic violence, which, as you know, had to be before related by blood or marriage, or had been living in a relationship or had a child in common. Now, just by having a romantic relationship, that's a serious romantic relationship, it's going to give us more duties as far as that victim is concerned, assistance and, informing them of the rights, and also, how much time the person is going to be locked up and things like that.
So tell me about teen dating violence, and we all know what physical abuse is, but what other types of abuses does this encompass?
Well, what we have seen, it's a common problem, and it's getting bigger, and we have to attack it. Just like we start when kids are little and we teach them that hands are not for hitting, we have to approach this problem as a big problem, because it is. It's 1 in 5 female high school students are reporting that they have been in an abusive relationship. And when we talk about this type of abuse, it's very broad, in the sense that, for example, I had a personal experience that shocked me when a student, a high school student, told me that she did not find being abusive or disrespectful for the boyfriend to grab her by the hair and spit in her face. That type of behavior is something that we have to intervene, and we really have to have this campaign. That's why I'm so excited about our new grant by the Department of Justice, where we have been working very proactively, this department, as far as, schools and teens and violence, that we know it's there in every community. But this is special for informing them and knowing the red flags. And we want the parents to be involved, the teachers to be involved. We want this to be a community.
Why do you think that teens don't really think of things, as you just said, to be abusive? Why do you think that? Because there's other forms of that, when they stalk, when they call you too often. Give us some examples of that, and because I think that a lot of teens might not really realize that these are abusive relationships. These are tendencies.
Absolutely, and you're so right. The problem is that they're at this point in their lives. We have to remember that even though they text really fast and they know all the technology that adults haven't catch up yet, they're still growing up. They're still acquiring their life skills. Their critical thinking and their abstract thinking is being formed at the time, and we have to help them, because if there's victimization at that time, at that point in time, it's going to affect them in the future. There are all kinds of behavior that are emotional, sexual, physical, and psychological. And as you were talking, we have a lot of problems with abuse through the cell phones. I mean, the constant texting. A 14-year-old has no point of reference in knowing that if someone calls you, texts you 30 times to know where you are and wants to be with you 24/7, that is not a normal relationship. They have nothing to compare with. So it's either they get it from home, or the example that you give at home. That's why it's so important, the parent involvement, or what they see on the news. I mean, it's the Rihanna and all that type of behavior. That's where they get their role models, and so we have to be there to guide them. We're still parents.
Tell me about the parent aspect. It must be very difficult and to have a child like this, or someone who's going through this. How do you get that parent to help? How can they help to guide their child through this?
First of all, they have to be educated, and that's why we have a point in letting them know that there's resources for them to understand the behavior, because there's a big behavior change when you have a teen, for example, and I'm talking about the female a little bit more, because that's where our numbers are. It's more the female than the male, but there's also males that have been in an abusive relationship. But for example, you see that your daughter is starting an eating disorder. She's on the phone all the time. She gets nervous every time she's, for example, eating, and she starts getting this text all the time. She knows she has to act upon. Her friends are no longer her friends. Her best friend from kindergarten, she can't talk to her. She starts dressing in a different way, covering up or, totally changing her personality. We have to find that time, like I said to the parents, 10 minutes a day. Like we have 24 hours. Just take 10 minutes a day and try to talk while you're driving in the car, any other activity, going to their extracurricular activities, to find that time so you can talk to them. And if the parent is educated and they know that they can get their child help, that there's resources to assist them, and if law enforcement has to intervene in a serious case, like when we have actual physical, punching and hitting and throwing against the walls, a lot of what we call strangulation, which they used to say, he choked me. Well, if he's impeding your breathing, that's a felony. They have to know.
And then tell me how this grant is going to help you, because what you're trying to launch here is a program that hardly anyone knows about, because really it hasn't gotten the attention that it deserves. And so now you're trying to really raise more awareness to what's happening. So tell me about this grant and how it's going to help.
Well, for years this department has tried to approach it, domestic violence, like in a broader sense. We have been working. But what the grant gives us is not only, like for example, I was just reading that Texas is one of the states that's going to make it mandatory, that it's part of the curriculum that they teach about dating violence, and that's extremely proactive and incredible. So we're very excited that it's going to give us the tools for the materials for the students to be able to reach them and to have this campaign. We're excited about having, at the end, having a sort of a contest or something, just to get them involved and them understanding little by little what it entails to have a healthy relationship for the future.
Okay. And then you had said at the beginning that there is jail time associated with this type of crime.
Well, absolutely, because if a crime is committed, like a battery, and as you were talking about, non-physical, but for example in a stalking, in an aggravated stalking, of course they are charges, and and they will be enforced.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Katia. Congratulations on your grant, and I hope it helps to raise more awareness.
Thank you.
And for more information on teen dating violence or any other crime that you are a victim of, or if you want more information, you can contact Katia at the Police Department's Victim Witness Unit, and that's at 305-460-5471. And Coral Gables Now is not done yet. Coming up, the Coral Gables Art Cinema will soon open its doors. We'll give you a sneak peek when we return. And Halloween is just around the corner. We'll have a list of activities for the whole family to enjoy.